The philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer said all truth passes through 3 stages. First, it is ridiculed. Second, it is violently opposed. And third, it is accepted as being self-evident. When it comes to the long ridiculed and violently opposed predictions of economic doom, we are in the 3rd stage of truth, as every day we see headlines stating that inflation is here to stay and global food prices are set to soar. Early reports are coming through that fertilizer shortages will put a crunch on next year's crop yield. In layman terms, this means less food. First world countries will experience exorbitant price spikes as third world countries and impoverished nations bear the brunt of the deficit in America's bread basket. Ag consultant Les Riley writes, there will be significant shortages. The big 3, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, are up 2 to 3 times in price from where they were last year. Herbicides, fungicides, and insecticides are facing similar or even bigger supply and price issues, as almost every product is up 30 to 200% in price. Many of the major staples used in grain, soybean, cotton, and vegetable production will run out between February and March of 2022. A dramatic reduction in crop yields will mean millions and millions of people with limited supplies that they cannot afford. It will also mean tens or hundreds of thousands of farmers will go broke. This issue is dead serious. As inflation soars, Congress will pass more stimulus, which will create more inflation. It doesn't really matter at this point who or what is causing the problem. The solution is the same. We must bring the supply chains back to where they belong, to our homes and to our local communities. Grow your own gardens, hatch your own chicks, breed your own livestock. Manufacture your own fertilizer. Build community with those who are doing likewise. Wherever you can, however you can, start somewhere. This entire article is in the context of conventional agriculture, and the crisis we are getting ready to confront head-on is in February to March of 2022, when the deficits in the chemical fertilizer industry will be realized. And so what is the answer? Well, from my perspective, grass-based agriculture, returning the animals God created to the habitats He created for them. It means finding a piece of land and matching it with species that will be able to utilize the resources on that land and convert them into a food product with no chemical fertilizers, herbicides, fungicides, and insecticides. And as we talk about nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, animal manure contains these 3 elements in some ratio or another depending on the species. And in addition to the natural source, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, animal manures contain high amounts of carbon, which is organic matter, which goes straight into the soil, doing things like increasing its water retention capacity. Animal manures and this natural source fertility provides things that chemical counterparts never could. And to take it even further, something like a cow will put off 50 pounds worth of manure every day. And this is essentially 50 pounds worth of free fertilizer, as that cow is taking the grass resource, converting it into meat, and putting off whatever its body does not use to produce that food source. Now, a lot of you may be watching this as organic grass farmers and saying, well, none of this is going to affect me. But the reality is we all still shop at the grocery store. And unless you're shopping exclusively organic or non-GMO, the fertilizer and insecticide shortages will affect your food bill. But to take it one step further yet again, I'm going to pull a portion of this book, Quality Pastures by Alan Nation. If you guys want this book for 30% off, there's a link below where you can buy it. But he speaks about how chemical fertilizers disrupt the mineral cycle. And while these chemical fertilizers may, from a visual perspective, produce a higher crop yield, those crops are actually nutritionally deficient. To quote directly from the book, the reduced micromineral flow to the plant may not reduce crop yield, but it lowers daily mineral consumption by the livestock. And mineral deficiencies are responsible for a great deal of the disease and compromised immune systems that we see on pasture. This is a great comment from Jay Sutton on my video, How Sheep Earn 400% More Than Beef Cattle. And he says, about 7 years ago, I sold my cattle. Now I custom graze cows from June through October and run about 250 Spanish cross meat goat does. It was a complete game changer, he says. I went from going deeper and deeper in debt to consistently paying down the debt that I inherited with the ranch. I would have to refigure it now with meat goat prices being so high, but by taking into account productivity, inputs, and prices, I figured out a few years ago that I would need $2,400 per calf from a 1,300 pound cow to match pound for pound profit of one of my Spanish does. Plus, they eat my knapweed and prune my pine trees and sagebrush. That is an excellent, excellent comment that really addresses the advantage we have as small ruminant producers in today's market. Another comment that was absolutely fantastic and helpful is from Folkert Visser. I think I said that right. But it was on the video, How to Lose All of Your Money Sheep Farming. And he says, one book that really helped us was The Veterinary Book for Sheep Farmers by David C. Henderson. It covers it all. Immediately after receiving that comment, I bought the book, and it has been my favorite bedtime story pretty much since it arrived. Chock full, can't endorse it all yet, but it has been extremely helpful so far. Keep commenting, guys. Thank you so much for your support. I read all your comments and I appreciate each and every one of them and each and every one of you. And please watch this video next where I talk to full-time farmer Luke Groves, who has made a complete go of it with a full-fledged farm business, and he only owns 20 acres.